Hi, I'm Dr. Robin Koslowitz, YouTube's post-traumatic parenting expert. Today, we're going to talk about a hidden trauma symptom that is hugely celebrated in the world, and people think of it as something to admire, but it actually is a trauma symptom. I'm talking about overcommitment. If you're a post-traumatic parent and you are balancing parenting and working life, welcome. Please click the subscribe button below so that you can always be informed of our new content. And please find us on the post-traumatic parenting community on Instagram at Dr. Koslowitz Psychology, where you can interact with other post-traumatic parents and gain the support of the group. Check out the Post-Traumatic Parenting podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts. So let's talk about overcommitment and why it's a trauma symptom. We have a trauma app in the back of our brain that is developed the moment that we are traumatized. And what that trauma app is trying to do is to restore an illusion of safety for us in the world. So the trauma app just wants to make us feel safe. It doesn't necessarily make us do things that are actually safe, but it wants to make us feel safe. So if part of our trauma had to do with deprivation, perhaps it was a family not having enough money, living in poverty, parents changing jobs a lot, moving a lot, a lack of stability, we sometimes will respond to that by becoming workaholics and overcommitting. We overcommit because because the trauma app warns us that we must be working all the time and productive all the time so that we can be valuable members of society. We overcommit because we're people pleasers, and the trauma app warns us that annoying powerful people or saying no to powerful people can be dangerous. We've been shamed, blamed for that in the past. We overcommit because we feel like as long as I'm earning something, my family will be safe. And when we have children, that imperative of economic survival becomes so much higher. So for all of these reasons, overcommitment is a trauma symptom. When I hear people talking about hustle culture, I'm thinking that those are post-traumatic people. The problem is then we become parents. And as parents, if we're overcommitted, whether we're overcommitted at work, whether we're overcommitted socially, whether we're overcommitted with our family of origin, that doesn't leave us a lot of time for the little humans in front of us. I think most post-traumatic parents have had that experience of like, well, this parenting thing takes up a lot of time, like even more time than I thought, even more time than that. Like children just need so much time and attention and care. When they're infants, their needs are never ending. It's always changing the diaper, feeding the baby, burping the baby, seeing why the baby's crying, doing the baby's laundry, sterilizing the bottles. It never ends. When they're older, and of course they don't sleep much, and then when they get older, there's all the conversations they want to have with us, there's the play dates, there's the homework, there's the dentist appointments. Parenting in and of itself is a giant commitment of time and energy. So when we're used to overcommitting, and we haven't replaced that, we haven't answered that trauma app and said, I know it feels safe to overcommit. It gives us an illusion of safety, but in actuality, when I overcommit my time, I don't have the time for my children. And then I end the day feeling very depleted and feeling like I wasn't the parent I wanted to be because I was so overcommitted with other things. And yeah, trauma app, that made me feel more safe. Yeah, that made me feel I people please. I agreed to stay late at work for my boss, but that meant that I said no to my kids. So here's a way to think about overcommitment and a way to understand it and reprocess it for ourselves so that it's a little easier to relate to. Inherent in every yes is a no. Inherent in every no is a yes. So every time I say yes to my boss that I'll stay late, I'm saying no to my kids. Every time I say no to myself because I wanted to engage in some self-care so I could be a present parent when my kids come home, I'm saying yes to snapping at my kids. I'm saying yes to having a harried, not fun, not present evening. There's no such thing as a yes without a no. There's no such thing as a no without a yes. So when your trauma app is telling you, say yes, say yes, say yes, we want to feel safe. Your boss is saying stay late. She'll judge you. She'll blame you. She'll shame you. She won't give you a promotion. You need to be working all the time. That keeps you safe. Sure, I can say yes. Do I want to say no to my kids? Do I want to say no to the kind of evening I was envisioning? Do I want to say no to taking my kids to the playground or to having time to chat with them, not just do like the let's go eat supper, let's do our homework. All right, brush your teeth, take a bath, go to bed, right? Like I want to have a night that's more present and feels like not about surviving, but about thriving. So if I'm saying yes to my boss, I'm saying no to that. Picturing your kids in front of you as your boss is asking helps you say that no, because then you're saying that yes to your kids. And maybe it's that no to your friend who's inviting you out for coffee and you'd love to have coffee with her and you'd love to nurture the friendship, but you know that you can't fit it in and also fit in your childcare responsibilities, right? So inherent in every yes is a no, inherent in every no is a yes. What do I want to say yes to? What do I want to say no to? I will only know that if I've clarified my values and if I've clarified my parenting values and I know the type of parent I want to be. I will only have the courage to mute those warning notifications from my trauma app if I know what is and isn't consistent with my values. Because if I can say to my trauma app, yes, I want to delete this permission. You do not have the right to send me loud alarms every time I say no to my boss or every time I turn down something. Someone asks me to do a favor and I say no, that's not going to work for me today. I want to mute that notification and the trauma app sends that warning like, this will make you feel unsafe. This is not good. You need to stop, right? The way an app might when you try to like, remove some of its functionalities. We're going to say back to the trauma app, yes, but I'm an adult. I've got this. I know exactly which permissions I want to give you and I want to take away from you. I know what I value and I know what I want to say yes to and I know what I want to say no to. And right now I am going to say no to that hustling, to that overcommitment. I am going to say no to that work to justify my existence because I know that that is not consistent with my values. Thank you, trauma app, for trying to make me feel safe. But I'd rather actually be safe than feel safe. And I know that if I prioritize my relationship with my children and I have that kind of evening that I'm dreaming of, I know that that means that I will feel safe because I will be thriving. I will be parenting in accordance with my values. I will be doing things that won't make me feel guilt and shame late at night when I'm thinking about how the day went. I'm going to feel like, oh, that was a satisfying day. And something else will happen too. Humans are incredibly capable of learning. And when we assert boundaries with people, they learn our boundaries. Eventually, your boss stops asking you to stay late because she understands that, 5 o'clock means 5 o'clock. Eventually, your friend who's kind of good at taking advantage and asking for favors that maybe she doesn't really need or things that she could really do herself, she learns, yeah, she has a very busy week. She's a little available on the weekends, but during the week, these are not favors I can ask her for. People accept our boundaries when we state our boundaries from a place of confidence, from a place of strength, from a place of values. When we state those boundaries in a way that just makes it very clear that as much as I'd love to help you, this is the time and bandwidth that I have, then people don't judge us all that much. And a boss who really is going to judge you because she persistently asks you to stay late is a boss that's taking advantage of you and maybe it's time for another job. And I understand there are economic realities about that, but sometimes when you have that toxic person in your life who won't accept boundaries, sometimes it's time to say, maybe I need to vote with my feet because I am no longer willing to subscribe to a toxic hustle culture. And instead, I'm going to prioritize my values. I'm going to prioritize my kids. It's also very useful to learn to say no graciously, to give in fantasy what we can't give in reality. So saying things like, I wish I could help you out today, but 5 o'clock is 5 o'clock. I need to be able to meet my kid's school bus. And if I don't leave right now, I won't be able to do that. Right. So I wish I could is still a no. So sometimes softening that no, making that no a little bit more palatable. And then our trauma app can learn too. Because what we can say to the trauma app is, how you were like warning me that the sky is falling down. And if I say no, terrible things will happen. Nothing so terrible happened. I said no, nobody died. I'm still safe, didn't get fired, still have my job. and I got to go home and have that evening that I was dreaming of with my kids. Inherent in that no was that yes to me, to myself, to my children. Because as much as we can say we're doing it for our children, we're also doing it for ourselves. We deserve that beautiful, loving, responsive relationship with our kids. We deserve to hear that delicious laugh of the 2-year-old. We deserve to hear those adorable insights on life that a 4-year-old says. We deserve to have that incidental shoulder to shoulder conversation with our 9-year-old while we're doing something in the kitchen, and they just have these adorable things to say about life, and we get to hear about their day and their friends and everything that they're doing with their lives, right? We deserve that, not only for the sake of our children, but for the sake of ourselves, for the sake of our inner child who gets to be parented all over again, because in parenting, we are parented, right? And as we experience these experiences with our children, we experience them ourselves as well. So when we get to have that unhurried, unrushed evening where we do our homework and we have a chance to not only just quickly draw the multiplication tables, but have a cute conversation about math and math facts and hear some jokes and, go through a child's backpack and see all the things they did in school and have that leisurely bubble bath and read that bedtime story and be able to read that second bedtime story, right? That's just this luxurious, lovely evening that we said yes to, because we had the courage to do that, because inherent in that no was that yes. Not only, I want every post-traumatic parent to be doing this for the sake of their kids. Absolutely. Very often that is the start. We do this for the sake of our children, but we also are doing it for the sake of ourselves, because we deserve to experience their childhood with them. We deserve to be reparented as we parent. We deserve to resonate with their joy and be a part of their lives. We deserve this because we have come so far, and we should be able to enjoy their childhood. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if we remember that inherent in that no to that boss, to that friend, to that favor, to that social engagement is the yes. It's the yes of prioritizing our relationship with our children, right? And when we can do that, we know we are on the road to healing from our trauma. We are on the road to deprogramming the trauma app from our brains. We are on the road to being healthy, whole humans who are existing from a place of thriving, not from a place of surviving. We are the parent we dreamed of our children having, or at least we are giving birth to the parent that we dreamed of our children having. Every single time we take that extremely courageous step of saying no, of not overcommitting, of not hustling, of not working, that really difficult thing of saying, tonight I'm going to keep my evening free. That means we're breaking free of trauma. Our kids are the first step towards that. We're doing it for the sake of our kids. Our kids are the motivators to make us want to do that. But we're not only doing it for the sake of our kids. We're partially doing it for the sake of our kids. We're also doing it for the sake of ourselves, because we deserve to be the kind of present parent that we value. If you want to be a cycle breaker and you want to join me on this journey, please subscribe below so you can get notified for every new episode. Check out the post-traumatic parenting community on Instagram and Facebook, where we can have interaction and discussions. There's a subscription community on Instagram where you can ask me your post-traumatic parenting questions. And also, please let me know what you think of the Post-Traumatic Parenting Podcast. It's available wherever you get podcasts. Till next time.